I, 30F, met Jack, 33M, 8 years ago at my best friend Keisha's wedding. I wasn't even supposed to be there since I had a work commitment, but Keisha begged me to be her bridesmaid. That last-minute decision changed my life forever. Jack was the best man, and from the moment I saw him, I was drawn to his confidence. He was charming, successful, and seemed to have his life together. He owned a software development company and had just bought his first house. During the reception, we spent hours talking about everything from our childhood dreams to our future goals. Jack told me how he came from a humble background and built his company from scratch. His dedication to his work and family values impressed me. By the end of the night, we had exchanged numbers. My older sister Marie was thrilled when I told her about Jack. She had always been protective of me, especially after my disastrous relationship with my college boyfriend who cheated on me with my roommate. Marie said Jack seemed different, more mature and established. She encouraged me to give him a chance despite my hesitation about dating again. Our courtship was like a fairy tale. Jack would surprise me with thoughtful gifts and plan elaborate dates. He got along great with my family, especially Marie. They shared similar interests in art and classical music. My parents adored him because he came from a good family and had strong traditional values. They were particularly impressed by how he took care of his elderly parents. After dating for 4 years, we got married in a beautiful ceremony that my parents helped plan. Marie was my maid of honor and gave a touching speech about how happy she was that I had found someone like Jack. Everything seemed perfect. Jack supported my career, encouraged my independence, and never made me feel guilty about my work travel. I work as a sales representative for a pharmaceutical company, which requires me to travel at least 2 weeks every month. My sister Marie always said it wasn't fair to Jack that I was away so much. She constantly suggested that I should consider finding a different job or at least cut back on my travels. But Jack assured me he understood and even encouraged me to take more trips, saying it was good for my professional growth. Looking back, I should have seen the red flags. Jack was too perfect, too understanding. He never complained about my absences, never showed any signs of missing me. Instead, he would encourage me to extend my trips if needed. When I would try to come back early to surprise him, he would seem almost annoyed rather than happy. About 6 months ago, I started noticing changes in his behavior. He became very protective of his phone and would never let me near it. If I walked into the room while he was texting, he would quickly put his phone away or turn it face down. When I asked him about it, he said it was work-related and that I was being paranoid. He reminded me how busy his company was and how he needed to be available for his employees at all times. Marie defended him, saying I was probably projecting my guilt from being away so much. She suggested I was letting my past experience with my college boyfriend cloud my judgment of Jack. My parents agreed with her, saying I should trust my husband more and stop creating problems where there weren't any. Things got worse when I found women's clothing in our guest room, a blouse and a pair of earrings that definitely weren't mine. When I confronted Jack about it, he had an explanation ready. He claimed they belonged to his co-worker Hannah, who had stayed over during a late-night project when her car broke down. The explanation seemed reasonable, but something felt off. The blouse was exactly Marie's style, but I pushed that thought away, not wanting to let my imagination run wild. I tried talking to my parents about my suspicions, but they dismissed my concerns. My mom said I was being paranoid and that Jack was a good man who would never cheat. My dad suggested that maybe if I was home more often, I wouldn't have these insecurities. They made me feel like I was going crazy. Last month, I had to go on a business trip to Chicago for a week-long conference. The night before I was supposed to leave, Jack seemed unusually excited and kept asking me what time my flight was. I told him it was at 8 a.m. That morning, I drove to the airport but couldn't shake off the feeling that something was wrong. For the first time in our marriage, I decided to trust my gut. I turned around and went back home. When I pulled into our driveway, I noticed Marie's car parked a block away. My heart started racing as pieces started falling into place: the mysterious clothes, Jack's protectiveness over his phone, Marie's constant defense of him. I quietly entered the house using my key and heard voices coming from upstairs. I quietly went up and found Jack in our bedroom with Marie. They were both naked in our bed, the bed Jack and I had picked out together when we first got married. When they saw me, Marie quickly grabbed her clothes while Jack just stood there looking angry rather than guilty. It was like he was annoyed at being caught rather than ashamed of betraying me. What happened next shattered my world completely. Instead of apologizing, they both started yelling at me. Marie said I was never there for Jack and that he needed someone who could give him proper attention. She said I was too focused on my career to be a good wife. Jack joined in, saying he and Marie had genuine feelings for each other and that they had been seeing each other for the past 2 years. My sister even had the audacity to say that Mom and Dad knew about their relationship and were okay with it because they thought Jack deserved better than me. She said they had been having Sunday dinners together at our parents' house while I was away on business trips. My parents had been hosting my husband and sister's affair under their own roof. I left the house in shock and drove to my parents' place, hoping Marie was lying about their involvement. But when I got there, I discovered the full extent of the betrayal. My parents admitted they knew about the affair. My mom's explanation made me physically sick. She said that since Marie couldn't have children of her own due to a medical condition, they thought it would be nice if she could have a family with Jack. They had been encouraging the affair because they believed Marie and Jack would make a better couple. According to my mom, Marie had always been envious of my ability to have children, even though Jack and I had chosen not to start a family yet due to my career. My parents thought it was selfish of me to deny Jack a family when my sister, who couldn't have children, was ready to give up everything to be with him. I packed whatever I could and moved in with my friend Keisha. Jack sent me divorce papers the next day through his lawyer. My entire family is acting like I'm the one who did something wrong. They keep saying I should be understanding of Marie's inability to have children and that I should be happy my sister found someone who loves her. The betrayal from my family hurts more than Jack's infidelity. I never thought my own parents and sister would conspire against me like this. Update 1: After my last post, things got even more complicated. Keisha has been my rock through all of this. She was the one who suggested I get tested for STDs since we had no idea how long Jack had been cheating. Initially, I resisted the idea because I trusted that Jack had been faithful until Marie came into the picture. But Keisha reminded me how Jack's behavior had changed long before I caught them. I made an appointment at a clinic far from our neighborhood, scared of running into anyone who might know me. The waiting was terrible. Every minute felt like an hour as I sat there thinking about how my life had fallen apart in just 2 weeks. The doctor was kind and understanding, but that didn't make hearing the results any easier. I tested positive for chlamydia. When I called Jack to inform him about the STD, his reaction was exactly what I should have expected but still shocked me. Instead of apologizing or showing any concern, he accused me of sleeping around during my business trips. He said my constant traveling made it impossible for him to have given me an STD since we barely saw each other. The worst part was hearing Marie in the background, agreeing with him. After that call, I spent hours crying in Keisha's guest room. She suggested we do some digging into Jack's past since his reaction seemed practiced, like he'd done this before. We started with his email accounts. I still had access to our shared cloud storage where Jack kept most of his old emails backed up. He probably forgot I could still access it. What we found made me physically sick. There were hundreds of emails between Jack and Marie going back almost 3 years. They had been planning this for longer than I imagined. The emails revealed how they coordinated their affair around my travel schedule. Jack would tell Marie when I had trips planned, and they would arrange their meetings accordingly. They even had a shared calendar marking my travel dates as their special time. But it got worse. We found emails where they discussed strategies to make me focus more on work so they could spend time together. Jack had been encouraging me to take more business trips not because he supported my career, but because it gave him more time with my sister. He had even suggested I apply for promotions that required more travel. The emails showed they had taken several vacations together while I was away on business. They went to places Jack and I had talked about visiting together: Paris, Rome, even the Maldives. My parents had helped them coordinate these trips, making sure I wouldn't find out. There were emails from my mom suggesting good times for them to travel based on my schedule. The most devastating discovery was about Marie's attempts to get pregnant. She and Jack had been actively trying to conceive for over a year. There were emails discussing fertility treatments, ovulation schedules, and planned doctor visits. Marie had written about how having Jack's baby would force me to grant a divorce quickly since no judge would want to keep a father away from his child. I confronted Marie about this at our parents' house. I wanted to face her with our parents present so they could see the truth about their perfect daughter. When I showed them the emails, Marie didn't even try to deny it. Instead, she said she deserved to be happy and that Jack was her soulmate. She talked about how unfair it was that I could have children but chose not to, while she, who desperately wanted to be a mother, couldn't conceive naturally. Our parents sat there quietly during this confrontation. Their silence spoke volumes about their priorities. Finally, my mom broke down crying and called me later that evening. She revealed that Marie had always had mental health issues due to her infertility. Apparently, Marie had attempted suicide twice in the past because she couldn't have children. My parents claimed they supported her relationship with Jack because they thought it would help her heal. I was furious. They had kept Marie's suicide attempts from me all these years. Instead of getting her professional help, they thought stealing my husband would fix her problems. They sacrificed my marriage and happiness for Marie's mental health. My mom begged me to understand and forgive them, saying they were just trying to protect Marie. Keisha thinks I should press charges against Jack for knowingly exposing me to an STD, but I'm not sure I want to drag this out in court. The betrayal from my family is hard enough to deal with. I've blocked all their numbers except for Keisha's. She's been letting me stay with her while I figure out my next steps. The hardest part isn't losing Jack, it's losing my entire family. Every memory I have of the past few years feels tainted now. All those family dinners, holidays, and celebrations were just opportunities for them to plan behind my back. The people I trusted most in the world conspired to destroy my marriage, and they don't even think they did anything wrong. I'm meeting with a divorce lawyer next week. Keisha helped me find someone who specializes in cases involving infidelity. I want to make sure Jack doesn't try to twist this around and blame me for the end of our marriage. I have copies of all the emails as evidence of their affair. At least I have that. Update 2: just when I thought this situation couldn't get any worse, more secrets started coming out. Last week, I received a message on Facebook from Emma, who works at Jack's company. She said she had been wanting to reach out since she heard about our divorce but was scared of losing her job. After meeting for coffee, she revealed things about Jack that made me realize I never really knew him at all. According to Emma, this wasn't Jack's first time destroying a marriage. At his previous job in Seattle, he had an affair with his boss's wife while being married to his first wife, Rebecca. The affair went on for almost a year before it was discovered. Emma worked at that company too and witnessed everything fall apart. Jack's boss had to resign due to the scandal, and his marriage ended in divorce. Jack's marriage to Rebecca also ended when she found out about the affair. Emma showed me old company emails where Jack bragged to his friends about manipulating both women. He would tell his boss's wife that his marriage to Rebecca was loveless, while telling Rebecca he was working late when he was actually with his boss's wife. The pattern was exactly the same as what he did with Marie and me. But the revelations about Jack weren't even the worst part. Emma also told me that Jack's relationship with Marie wasn't as perfect as they pretended. She showed me screenshots from Jack's active dating profile where he claimed to be single. The profile was created just 2 weeks after I moved out. In his bio, he described himself as a successful businessman looking for casual relationships. Emma had seen Jack with different women at restaurants around town. He would introduce these women as business clients, but their behavior suggested otherwise. She even showed me photos she had taken of Jack kissing one of these women outside a bar last week. The woman wasn't Marie. When I showed these screenshots and photos to Marie, she refused to believe me. She accused me of photoshopping the images and working with Emma to ruin her happiness. She said I was just jealous because she and Jack were planning their wedding while I was alone. My parents sided with her again, saying I should stop trying to cause problems. But the biggest shock came when I ran into Rebecca, Jack's first wife, at a coffee shop near my new apartment. She recognized me from photos she had seen during her marriage to Jack. We spent hours talking, and the similarities between our stories were chilling. Rebecca told me how Jack had manipulated everyone around her when she suspected him of cheating. He convinced her family that she was paranoid and needed mental help. Her own parents started suggesting therapy for her trust issues. When she finally caught him with her best friend, Jack managed to twist the story and make it seem like Rebecca had driven him to cheat. Just like with me, Jack had isolated Rebecca from her support system before she caught him cheating. He would encourage her to work more, travel more, spend time away from home. Then he would use her absence as justification for his affairs. Rebecca's family had sided with Jack during their divorce, just like my family is doing now. Rebecca also revealed something that made my blood run cold. After their divorce, she discovered that Jack had been dating multiple women throughout their marriage. He had a pattern of targeting women with insecure or emotionally vulnerable friends or family members. He would get close to these women while pretending to be the perfect husband, waiting for the right moment to start an affair. I spent the next few days digging deeper into Jack's past. Rebecca helped me connect with other women he had manipulated. Each story followed the same pattern. Jack would present himself as the perfect partner, encourage his wife to focus on work or travel, then start an affair with someone close to her. He seemed to enjoy destroying not just marriages, but entire families. The most disturbing part was how he always managed to make the wife look crazy or paranoid before the affair was discovered. In every case, he had convinced the family to side with him and the other woman. It was like he enjoyed the drama and pain he caused. I tried sharing all this information with my family, hoping they would finally see Jack for who he really is. But they're too far gone. My mom accused me of trying to ruin Marie's chance at happiness out of spite. My dad suggested I seek professional help to deal with my obsession with Jack's past. Update 3: after much back and forth with lawyers, I finally signed the divorce papers last week. Jack got to keep the house since it was in his name, but I managed to get a decent settlement thanks to the evidence of his affairs. I've moved to Boston for a fresh start, and honestly, it's been the best decision I've made. The day I signed the papers, I learned that Jack and Marie got married in a small ceremony at our parents' beach house. My mom posted dozens of photos on Facebook, calling it the happiest day of her life. The caption under one photo read, "Finally, my perfect daughter found her perfect match." The irony wasn't lost on me. My parents even gifted them the beach house as a wedding present, the same house they had originally promised to give me when I got married. Keisha helped me find a beautiful apartment in Boston, and my company was incredibly supportive about the transfer. I'm now heading the entire East Coast sales division, which is a huge step up in my career. The promotion came with a significant raise that helped me rebuild my life. Yesterday, everything I had discovered about Jack was proven right. Marie called me crying hysterically. She had found messages on Jack's phone revealing affairs with 3 different women. One of them was her best friend Lisa, who was also her maid of honor at their wedding. Marie caught them together in the beach house, our parents' wedding gift to them. When Marie confronted Jack, he used the same tactics he had used with me and Rebecca. He blamed Marie's infertility issues for pushing him away, saying he needed someone who could give him children. He told her she was paranoid and needed mental help. The exact same script he had used before. Marie begged me to let her stay with me in Boston until she figured things out. She said she had nowhere else to go because she was too embarrassed to tell our parents. She apologized for everything, saying she finally understood what she had done to me. But her apology felt hollow, coming only after Jack had hurt her too. I refused to help her. I told her that she made her choice 3 months ago when she married my husband and celebrated with our parents while I was alone. I reminded her how she had dismissed all the evidence I had shown her about Jack's past affairs. She cried harder, saying she was my sister and family should forgive each other. The hypocrisy was astounding. My parents found out about Jack's affairs through Marie. Instead of admitting they were wrong about him, they called me to blame me for not warning them properly about Jack's past. My mom said I should have tried harder to convince them. My dad suggested I should come home and help Marie through this difficult time since I had experience with Jack's cheating. I blocked their numbers after that call. I've realized that my family will never acknowledge their role in destroying my marriage. They'll always find a way to make everything my fault. Keisha says I should be glad to be rid of such toxic people, and she's right. The silver lining in all of this is that I've built a new life for myself. I have a great job, a beautiful apartment, and real friends who support me. I've started dating again, casually, but I'm in no rush. I'm focusing on my healing and growth. Emma and Rebecca have become good friends. We meet regularly for coffee and help each other process our experiences with Jack. There's something therapeutic about sharing stories with women who truly understand what you've been through. Sometimes the best thing you can do is walk away from toxic people, even if they're family. Blood relation doesn't give anyone the right to betray and hurt you. I'm done feeling guilty about choosing my peace over their drama. Sometimes the family you choose is better than the family you're born into.